Hello and welcome to the second race from round 3 at Montreal in Canada of the World Supertech Series. And James Johnson, our race 1 winner, first time winner in the WSS and first time winner in the TPS, was on pole position. Second position on the grid was Rasmus Salo. Second time he spun on the front row. Mataszewski was in third position. Jesper Talborg was behind him in fourth. Morten Vernessen was in fifth position. Chris Butcher was in sixth. Wayne Morgan 7th and Sergio Perez in 8th position, with Paolo Tempera and Rob Musgrove rounding out the top 10. So as the field head towards the start-finish line for the second time at Montreal, and it's James Johnson on the right, Rasmus Salo on the left, and Mataszewski behind Johnson on the right-hand side of your picture, and one or two people getting on the grass, but everyone gets away cleanly, and Mataszewski looking for a way through past Talborg, and Johnson's got into the back of Salo. Salo goes spinning, and huge incident at the first corner for the front two on our grid, and Salo recovers. He moves back into into the pack, really. He's into fourth position, I believe. But Johnson getting into the back of Salo at the first corner. He's done that before as well. And Sergio Perez into Morten Vernessen as they head into turn 6. And Wayne Morgan nearly spins in sympathy, but just about gets away with it. And Dumoulin gets into Vernessen. Vinnari into Dumoulin. Huge damage for Łukasz Dumoulin. And that's, I'm afraid that was Vernessen's fault, trying to rejoin in a stupid position there, really. And Łukasz comes off worse. Tempera nearly into the back of Florian Strauss. There's Wayne Morgan as well, and James Johnson is now behind Jari Vinnari. That's 13th, 12th and 13th position. Ilovanov is ahead of them in 11th place, and Vinnari trying to cover off from Johnson, but Johnson's up the inside. It's nice to see Vinnari with a front end on his car. Oh, never mind. Johnson moves up the inside, and Keithley's trying to draft them both. And Keithley goes up the inside of Vinnari, and they both take the position away from Jari. I'm sorry, Jari, I didn't mean that. And Ilovanov spinning out of the final chicane as well, and he drops put through the pack a little bit. As a result, here's James Johnson, and he's behind, I believe that's Alexis Capano ahead, and also Paolo Tempera. Capano on the dirt, nearly comes back in front of Johnson, but doesn't quite manage it, and Tempera on the grass as well. It's all happening in race 2, and Keithley's trying to make his way past the pair of them, and he's been balked a little bit there by Tempera, but Tempera just had a slow exit off the grass, and Capano still ahead of Keithley in the background. Here's Chris Butcher, who made a lightning getaway really to move up into third position, and he's behind Jesper Talborg, and he's clearly got the pace to have a go at Talborg. He's on the outside into the hairpin, so difficult to make a move around the outside. Mataszewski still leads the pack. Butcher's still having a go around the outside anyway, and he looks like he might get the better drive out of the corner as well. An excellent move from Chris Butcher. He moves up ahead of Jesper Talborg, and Talborg maybe under pressure from Rasmus Salo as well, but Butcher around the outside of the hairpin. That's very opportunistic. Here's Perez and Florian Strauss, and that's Strauss going round the outside of Perez, just about makes it through, and Ben Davis in the background. A little bit of a spin there for Davis. Not sure if we'll see a replay of that or not. Here's Vinnari ahead of Capano. Capano getting into the back of Vinnari, and Vinnari trying to rejoin the track. He's bumped over the curb. He's into Tomasz Dumoulin. That's both the Dumoulins with heavy damage, and Vinnari, another rejoin that's questionable in this race, I'm afraid, and causes huge damage to the other Dumoulin brother. And here's Ben Davis, and that's Perez. Johnson into the back of him, and Davis into the gravel, and Johnson in trouble as well. Davis, look at the damage on the front of his car, and Johnson actually sensibly waiting for Davis, and lets him back through. So very honourable of Johnson there, really. He could have carried on, and that's Vernessen nearly getting into the back of Dumoulin. What's going on with the brakes in this race? Here's Vinnari looking for a way past Morten Vernessen, and he's now behind Tomasz Dumoulin, and all three of them have got no front end on their car. And Vinnari, we love your livery. We just wish we could see it occasionally. He's going up the inside of Dumoulin. That's very late on the brakes for Ilovanov, and Ilovanov smashes into Vinnari and takes him out. And I'm afraid Ilovanov too late on the brakes as well. So cold brakes here at Montreal on the first couple of laps. Here's Salo now in behind Jesper Talborg, and that's Butcher ahead of them. And Butcher tracking Mataszewski. So Mataszewski still leading at the moment, and Salo's going up the inside of Talborg into the hairpin. And finally a clean overtake in this race, and Salo moves up a position into the final podium position, and takes it away from Jesper Talborg, who is our championship leader at present. Might not be that way after this race, but we'll have to see. Butcher going round the outside of Mataszewski. Mataszewski really trying to force him onto the inside, but Butcher on the grass. Very brave stuff from Butcher, and he's going to turn in first as well into the chicane. So bit of bravery rewarding Butcher there, and he's already gapped Mataszewski on the exit of that corner as well. Mataszewski a little bit too hard over the curbs. Lap 5 now, and Mataszewski ahead of Salo still, but Salo tracking him very closely and looking for a way past. He's late on the brakes into the hairpin. Mataszewski's seen him coming. Mataszewski going to try and duck underneath perhaps, but Salo takes the position away and moves up into second place. Here's Ben Davis and James Johnson once again. This time Johnson drafting him down the back straight and goes to the left, trying to go around the outside. Davis very late on the brakes, looking to cover his line. Davis just about makes the chicane, bumps over the curbs though and gets into the wall, and Johnson makes his way through. So Davis has now got to draft Johnson if he wants to make his way back through, but I think Johnson has got the pace on Davis, to be honest. And Johnson moves up a position, up into 7th position, I believe. Is Alexis Klapano and Nikola Ilovanov. And Klapano, heavy damage to his car, and he brakes a little bit too late for the hairpin. And Ilovanov says, "Thank you very much, I'll take that position away." So he does so. Here's Jack Keithley following Wayne Morgan. And they're both following Florian Strauss, I believe. And Morgan going up the inside. That's Sergio Perez in front. And Jack Keithley bumps Wayne Morgan, but makes the move stick. So they're following Sergio Perez, and Keithley's next target is Perez. So here we go, lap 7 now. Perez ahead of Keithley, and Keithley looking for a way past Sergio. Sergio can be very aggressive at times, and he's defending very heavily from Keithley. Keithley gives him a little bit of a tap into the hairpin, bumps him wide, and Perez goes round the outside, but Keithley moves past Perez. And Wayne Morgan now in behind Perez. Here's Perez trying to make his way back past Keithley, and he's braked a little bit too late as he nearly gets into... In fact, he does get into Keithley and spins Jack Keithley around in the final chicane. And I'm afraid that was a bit late on the brakes, Sergio. You'll be lucky to get away with that one. James Johnson in the background as well, almost hitting the wall. You've got to push the limits to be fast on the exit of the final chicane. Here's Tauborg and Florian Strauss. Strauss drafting Tauborg and looking for a way past Jesper, and the young Dane not wanting to give that one away too easily. Strauss going up the inside, takes the position away, bumps over the curbs, but gets away with it. And Tauborg, no damage on his car this race. He's got a run on Strauss actually as they head towards the first corner, but Strauss covers the inside. He's learnt from James Johnson in race 1, and he has taken the position away from Jesper as they head through turn 2, and that's Mataszewski ahead of them, so that's the next target for Florian. Here's Wayne Morgan and Jack Keithley, so Keithley now in behind Morgan once again after the contact with Perez, and Morgan very sideways, just about gets the brakes on early enough to save it, but not enough for to keep Keithley behind Wayne Morgan, and Keithley moves up a position as a result. Here's Tauborg and Strauss. So once again, Strauss through the final chicane, bumps over the curb. So here's Tauborg's opportunity to get Strauss back, and he's got the overlap, he's got the run on Strauss, and he's got the inside line. So it looks good for Tauborg as they head into the braking zone. Strauss a little bit later on the brakes, trying to go around the outside. An excellent move from Strauss to cover that one, and Tauborg a little bit asleep there, and Strauss later on the brakes and makes his way back past. So here's Chris Butcher, and he's bouncing over the curbs. Here's Rasmus Salo. And he's a little bit cleaner through there. Here's Mataszewski in 3rd, and he's sideways and over the curbs and spins 360 degrees. And Florian Strauss and Jesper Tauborg cutting the chicane to avoid any potential disaster. And Mataszewski, unfortunately, lost a couple of positions as a result of that spin. Here's Wayne Morgan and James Johnson through the final chicane, and they both spin, no contact at all, but they both spin, and now they're both going to have to reverse if they want. This very strange accident. They both span in exactly the same place. Here's Ben Davis and Wayne Morgan. So Davis in behind Wayne Morgan after Morgan's mistake. Morgan now a little bit of damage to the front of his car and the side if you look. And Davis in his car a little bit better shape perhaps. He's been attacked by James Johnson and has got damage of his own, but Davis moves up past Wayne Morgan. Here's Florian Strauss, and he's in 3rd at the moment. A little bit heavy on the power, and he spins, so it looks like Tauborg's going to take the position away from Strauss. Strauss needs to get back on the power and back in a straight line, but Mataszewski go past. Here's Keithley as well, looking for a way by, But Strauss just didn't have the momentum, so they all get past. So Strauss shuffled down as a result of that spin. A shame for him. He was doing really quite well up the front. Here's Matuszewski and Jack Keithley. Lap 17 of 21, so only 4 laps left. And they're coming up to lap Thomas de Molin. And Keithley has the run just about on Matuszewski. He's got the overlap, and he's going to enter turn 1 first. Bumps over the curbs, but takes the position away. So Keithley moves up into 3rd position, I believe. And takes that away from Matuszewski, and that's Florian Strauss in the background. Here's Keithley on Talbot, so in fact it was for 4th position. So Keithley now behind Talbot. Will be for 3rd, and Talbot very late on the brakes, gets it sideways, bumps over the grass. He's still on the grass. Is he ever going to get back on the track? Yes, he is. And through turn 5, Keithley with a better momentum. It looks like Talbot has a problem with his brake bias, perhaps. He's sideways once again on the brakes. But our race 2 winner is Chris Butcher, and Salo's caught right up to the back of him at the finish, but Butcher must be happy with that. His first win in the World Supertech Series, his first win in the Touring Pro Series, and he takes the victory. And after his first race where he was damaged early on, he'll be happy with that. So Butcher wins from Salo. Jack Keithley was in 3rd position, a 2nd podium for him at Montreal. Jesper Talbog was in 4th. Florian Strauss ended up in 5th place with Matuszewski in 6th. James Johnson was in 7th ahead of Ben Davis in 8th position. Wayne Morgan and Morten Verneson round out the top 10. Join us next week for more highlights from Norris Ring, which will be round 4 of the World Supertech Series. Join us then.